Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Student Showcase series where I sit down and talk with some of our apprentices. Today, I am joined with Nick Quakenbush. How's it going, Nick?
It's going great.
Awesome. So this series is designed really for you as you go on your journey. We're going to talk a little bit about Nick's journey today through discovering, learning, and getting a job in visual effects. Nick has just been accepted to a job on the Overwatch team. Congrats, Nick. That's super exciting.
Thank you so much.
You start in a few weeks, right? We're going into the holiday season at the time of recording this. So I think by the time it's out on YouTube, you might have your starting date already. So that's really exciting.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. Like you are here at this great inflection point in your career. It's getting started. You're going off to this great, awesome, exciting job for you. But where did it start? Why were you interested in effects in the first place?
So, I had just came out of school doing a computer science major. I had been working with a friend of mine on some Unity projects. We were trying to make some VR games, to some success, some not success. Eventually, he had shown me the particle system on Unity's engine, and I was hooked very quickly from there. Um,
Nice.
Obviously, when you first start out, you don't when you're learning the particle system, you only know so much just from looking at the engine. And I learned that, like, in games that they make these fireballs, and they're like, how do they do that? Like, how do I translate this particle system from just from the engine to a World of Warcraft fireball, what have you. And so I did some research, and I actually ended up kind of abandoning my programming side of things. And I did a whole lot of research online. I ended up going to the real-time VFX forum eventually, and kind of going back and forth and learning what I could from there.
It's a
A lot
great
of really
site.
helpful people. Yep.
Yeah, I love it over there. That's a fantastic site.
Yeah. I learned a lot of, like, about material editing and shaders and all that good stuff. And from there, when I wanted to transition to Unreal, I found your course. I found VFX Apprentice, and I, I obviously I took a lot of that learning, and I talked to people from the Discord, and I kind of just stuck with Unreal after from that point. And
You jumped ship from Unity, came over to the
yeah,
dark side.
yeah. I Unreal's. I love the Unreal, how streamlined it is. Honestly, um, yeah, and
Yeah, I
that's
think
why.
Unity has a lot of strengths and weaknesses. Unreal has a lot of its own strengths and weaknesses. So I know lots of different people in our community do both. That's why we try and teach both. We are an Unreal first
Mhm.
school where we develop all our content in Unreal and then port equivalent content over to Unity after so that we make sure we can support both because obviously many studios use one or the other. And so it's important that we cover both.
Yeah,
So,
and I also just want to mention, like, if anybody is, if having trouble deciding whether you want to do one engine or the other, honestly, from my own experience, because I went from Unity to Unreal, and it's pretty seamless. Um,
yeah,
it, you can go which way. It really doesn't matter. Honestly,
that's
yeah.
that's a really good thing to call out for sure. Like the transition is surprisingly easy from everyone I've talked to
Mhm.
and myself, like having dived into both. Like, yeah, people usually don't have a big issue. Once you've learned one, learning the other one doesn't take too much time.
Yeah.
As far
Um,
as effects are concerned. I don't know about other aspects of it. Maybe it's a little different, but yeah.
yeah, some aspects there. So that comes into the play of, like, strengths and weaknesses, and you kind of have to figure out for yourself what you like better. There's really no wrong answer, from
Mhm.
what I've learned. So
All right, moving on. So you were in our community for about how long until this point where you've got your job offer from Blizzard?
gosh, it was, I want to say, about almost a year, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, although I could say that, like, honestly, I had some opportunities where I could join some studios prior to that. I had built a really nice portfolio after I had taken the class, and I was really happy. I've been really happy with my progress, actually. But I had the dream going in where I wanted to go into one of these big studios and really experience what it's like. So
Right, right.
I
So you
took
may
my
have passed
time.
you passed up on some opportunities with smaller studios, is what you're saying.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely everyone has a different preference of where they want to go, what they want to try. So that's cool. So I know from talking with you over the past few months, you've been applying around a lot. So what's that journey been like for you of like putting in these applications? Uh, are these studios giving you tests? What are the tests like? I mean, there's so many questions that we get so frequently, like, what do I do when it's time to apply and how's that going to go? So please share with us any insights that you can about what that's been like for you.
It is it is a learning experience, and especially if you want it to be. It is a lot of trial and error. If you're taking these art tests and you're doing these interviews, really, from my experience, really pay attention to what you could be doing wrong or what you're doing right, um, and ask questions. Like I I learned so much from people who even if I didn't get the job, I asked what could I have done better? What can I have done better on these art
Mm.
tests? It's the people in especially in the art industry from the people I've talked to, they're super helpful. They love when you ask them questions. Um, I'll just say like Sarah Carmody on the World of Warcraft team. She was fantastic. That was my first big interview, and she was really helpful. And she gave me a really nice note after I eventually did get turned down. But I was reinvigorated, I should say, that she helped me out.
Sarah's a fantastic human. Just want to
Yeah,
add that in there. Like all my interactions with her have been super impressive. And obviously she's well known on the community as well. That's cool that you got to do an art test with her. I'm sure it was very informative for you, very
yeah,
educational for you.
yeah. Um, that's the other thing. Like you mentioned, like she's awesome. Honestly, none of these people I've talked to, none of them are scary. They're all really nice people. So again,
Mm.
if you're like nervous about going to these interviews, like don't be there. They're there to see what you can do, and it's really good stuff. And as for advice, like purely on VFX side, from my experience, it is just incredibly helpful that you want to make sure that when you're making these art tests, that you are standing out. Um, it's a lot like portfolios where they might be interviewing. You don't know how many people they're interviewing with, right? So
Hmm.
you want to be the person that kind of when they're looking at all these reels that you're standing out, that like you kind of go that extra mile. And from what I know for the Overwatch team, from what they told me, is that is what I did, and that is what got me the job.
Cool.
Yeah,
Check. It worked.
yeah, yeah. Finally.
And oftentimes it's our failures that teach us just as much.
Hmm.
And it's neat because it wasn't just, well, the Warcraft team that you applied to, you had applied at multiple other
Hmm.
positions over the past few months. Yeah.
Yeah, even Riot. I interviewed with the TFT team. Really awesome people there too. Um,
Hmm.
it was a lot of the same experience. It was a lot of fun doing the art test. They were really happy with the art test, but again, especially for me, I come from a background of no experience in the industry and no actual full degree. Um,
Mm.
so there might be some people out there that have similar experience, and if that's the case, you keep keep at it. Make sure, like again, you're improving your VFX because they really just want to make sure you could do the effects. From my
Right.
experience, they can look past the credentials. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think having a degree in this is not necessarily like a factor. It doesn't really even weigh in very heavily. I
Mhm.
think something they might look to a little more is your experience. Like, have you worked on a game before? And you hadn't, right? And I know that was like something that came up because your portfolio was quite good, But then they're like, wait, but this isn't from any game experience. Like you just learned this on your own. Like, where's your production experience? So how did that factor into these different applications?
Well, that especially early on, that question did come up, and I I wanted to kind of drive home the idea that like even though I didn't have any experience, that I was really excited and I wanted to learn how to get into that area, because you can't really get around that fact. It's just the
Right.
reality of the situation. So you kind of just have to convince them at that point. Um, Also, or just have a really good, portfolio and that stuff. But yeah, I think if you're willing to show that you're excited to work with a team, that they're gonna be like, you know what, yeah, it's he doesn't have experience, but he just seems like a good guy. So
They'll take a chance on you and invest into giving you that experience.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head, really. Your expression of your willingness to learn and grow, that even though you don't know what you don't know, you're open to learning and you're excited to figure out what that stuff is and change accordingly. Well, that's great. So, again, just huge congratulations on the job offer. That's really exciting. And is there any final advice that you want to give before we head out?
I would say keep keep at it. A lot of a lot of what the general things that people say is like, like the don't give up, keep going. And honestly, that is one of the biggest advice. Like if you're having issues with getting these jobs in the VFX world, is like, again, learn from your mistakes, understand where you need to go, take advice like from people in the VFX Apprentice world, people in the real time VFX world. Um, there's so much information out there, if you're just willing to ask. So I 100% would say, like, ask around, learn from other people, and don't be afraid to take risks, honestly, too. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's great. Your work shows that you did all those things wonderfully. We're going to link that work in the description as well. Is it cool if people try to get a hold of you through the social medias?
Absolutely. I'm 100% open to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congrats and enjoy your holidays and then your new job after the holidays. That's exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you. Bye.